Howdy y'all, we got the Bulldog on the channel. You ever wonder why mechanics hate engineers? I've asked this before, but it bears repeating. Years ago, General Motors built a motor called Quad 4, and they had the timing chain driving the water pump. You had to disassemble the whole chain and everything in order to put a water pump on it. And the water pump mounted on the back side of the cover. So it was a huge undertaking. Not huge like pulling a motor. Huge like you couldn't get it done in 15-20 minutes like you would on a 60 V6, like the 2.8 or 3.1 or 3.4, progress. They did eventually figure out, oh, wait a minute. We don't have to do that. It comes off the back anyway, so what we'll do is we'll just deadhead the gear, have that actually running on something inside the cover, and then when the water pump to drive it, we'll just spline drive it into the back of the gear. So in order to change the water pump, just unbolt it off the back, take it off. Oh, that's a good idea. I guess they fired that guy because now, if I can show you, here's the water pump, and they, instead of having the gear mounted to it, they have a flange where the gear's bolted to it. Oh, I'm gonna put that old pump. Did I throw it across the room? No, I don't think I did. There it is. Now here's the old pump. You see the gear is bolted up here. Now you don't have to take all the chains apart because you see these 3 bolts? These are the bolts that hold it to the water pump. This is the deal. And in the cover, there's a place you can just take this off. And then they have a special holder that bolts in place using the bolt holes that bolt the cover on. And it bolts to the gear to hold it in place. So you have to have the front cover on in order to do it that way. Well, I had all the chains apart for a reason. So we'll just take it all off and replace the water pump while we're in here, because why not? Because you're right there, right? Right? No. In order to get the water pump off, you've got to pull this pipe right here. In order to get this pipe off, you have to pull this housing right here. In order to pull this housing right here, you've got to pull the lower radiator hose, you've got to pull the feed line going up to the degas bottle, and you've got to pull both heater hoses, and you've got to pull a couple of electrical plugs. In order to get this out, there's exhaust pipe that comes down through here. It's the catalytic converter. You see this here, this stud sticking out, it has a bracket that goes over it. And this bracket comes down, loops, comes this way, comes down, and bolts to the pipe. And then the converter sits here. You see where my hand is? Can you see the stud? You can see the stud, don't you? Right there? You can see that stud, right? The converter sits here, about that close. There's a nut on this. Okay. You go to take the converter out, you've detached it down here from the bracket, and you're trying to move it, and you can't, it won't come out of here because this bracket is sitting right here. So you got to take the bracket off. Okay, how do you take the bracket off? Well, you pull the converter out of the way and take the nut off. Well, okay, how do you, then how do you get the converter out? Well, you got to pull the bracket off and you take the converter out. Why do mechanics hate engineers? It's a question that answers itself if you know anything. Like, comment, subscribe, use the little bell notification, share around. I'll talk to you later.